laughing to the bank. She can keep the push.
Hello and welcome back to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. My name's Ish. On this episode, I had the privilege of interviewing Danny from TravelFutbolFan. He's a great guy. He helps people save money, use credit cards better, understand points, and just overall plan better for their sporting events, mainly the World Cup, the Copa America. He has himself gone to Qatar, so he knows what he's talking about. He travels a lot. So he's a very knowledgeable dude. I had a great time talking to him. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. TravelFutbolFan, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I mean, I've been a fan of you on TikTok. I see your lives. I always try to comment. You know, as someone that loves soccer and is looking forward to the World Cup, the Copa America coming up, all those insightful videos that you be posting, I could say personally they've really helped me. So thank you for being here. And if you just want to, give a little introduction, what you do, what your passion for soccer and football.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate the kind words there. So I'm Danny, Travel Football Fan, and really this whole TikTok, this whole social media journey began with me seeing a fellow Colombian in Qatar leading a tour group, even though he didn't really know too much Arabic, and he was like 60-something years old. And so it was like, yo, look, if this old man could do it over there, much respect and love to him, then, me being here in the States, me having all this, knowledge of traveling, which is really what the gist of my content is. Let me help fans, travel and organize themselves for the World Cup. So that's really what it is. It's not, about hot takes or, I'll throw a couple in there, of course, from time to time. But mostly the content is, how to organize yourself financially and how to organize your travel plans for this tournament, precisely because it's going to be the largest one geographically.
Yep.
In FIFA's history. It's the largest one by the number of teams. We're expanding to 48, 16 cities. And so by that alone, we know it's going to be a whole bunch of money that we're going to need if we want to follow a team or if you want to go to specific cities. So on. So yeah, that's why I've been doing this with, ever since I came back from Qatar. I've been doing Travel Football Fan.
I'm not too familiar, but was that the first World Cup that you went to?
That's correct. Yeah, that was correct. That's correct. That's the first World Cup I went to. Got to see one match. But I think more importantly, I know I keep saying, one match, but really it was my whole experience in the Middle East, enjoying the World Cup with people from that part of the world. Because the majority of our vacation there was actually in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And let me tell you, man, the people there were just almost embraced the World Cup as much as it was theirs. Even though obviously it was in Qatar.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds amazing. I was thinking of sending it to Qatar, but at the time I didn't have the funds for it. And like you preach on your TikTok, on all your social medias, like it's better to plan ahead and not put a hole on top of you than to just send it. But this year I have been saving money. I have been saving money for the Copa America, for the World Cup. What are your like rough plans? I know you've been saying you want to go to a bunch of cities and you want to see Colombia and all of that, but like what's the brief plan that you have going into the World Cup?
Yeah, so for the World Cup, the ambition is 16 cities, 60 matches. So I'll just go see one game in each of these cities and really kind of experience the World Cup in each of these locations, right? Of course, life will be there, right? Good or bad. Who knows what's going to happen? It could be less games. It could be more games. Who knows? But I think what that allows me to do is then to say, okay, if I'm going to really do the 16 cities, 16 games, then I probably need to have X amount in the bank. I probably then need to have, by that point, X amount of travel miles, travel points, or have worked enough connections to be able to get me those things established, maybe a cheaper price, a discount, that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to get myself into a financial position to win? And so, like, for example, for the Northeast games over here, since I live in Washington, D.C., I could just write up the Amtrak. I'm earning Amtrak points right now. So in that way, instead of spending hundreds of dollars on the train rides, just use my points, clean my whole account out, and hey, I probably will save myself, I'm thinking maybe about a couple $1,000s on train travel.
Right.
Just by if I collect the number of points I need, which I'll probably need Conservative estimate, I'll say like probably 50,000 points, and I'm at 31,000 right now.
There you go.
So
there you go.
yeah, like doing those types of things, right, allows me to think about how much I need to save a ballpark, and then aim for that. If it's less, okay, but at least I was able to prepare myself financially for whatever I can get in terms of the games and cities I travel to.
Right. Just hearing it from me, my goal, like a small goal that I have, is to go to 3 games, 3 different cities. As a Mexican, I do want to go to Estadio Azteca, maybe the one in Monterrey, and then probably one in Los Angeles, just to keep it, easy.
Yeah.
But
And look, and that's all good, and that's good too. Like I know you said you just used the word like small, but it's like that's fine, man. I mean, I like, that's why when I say I went to one match in Qatar, like the number of times I share that story and people never said, oh, just like if they say just one, it's like, oh man, you could have gotten more. It's like, yeah, I probably could have gotten more, right?
Yeah.
Had the logistics worked out. But I definitely don't want to dash people's dreams. If their mission is just to get a one match, don't worry. Like I started that way too.
I feel the exact same way. I mean, I feel super privileged that I even have like the idea of being able to go to 3 games. Like that's already like a blessing. Like the fact that I could, maybe it won't even happen, but like the idea that I feel like I can make it happen, I'm already super blessed. Like you said, this is going to be one of the biggest World Cups, or the biggest, the first time it expands to, what is it, 48 teams?
48 teams, yeah.
48 teams. So I did hear that the Qatar one, you could just take buses from like one stadium to the other. Everything was super condensed. It was just one big city. Do you have like any plans on how you're going to tackle all 16 cities? Like, are you going to do the East Coast first, work your way to maybe Canada and then the West Coast, or do you have any plans for that yet? So
yeah, trust me, a lot of fans, when I was talking to them in Qatar, and I'm trying to pull up the schedule right now, but when I was in Qatar, a lot of them said like it felt like a Disney World of the World Cup, right? Because they could travel to every game. Actually, some of them were like, dude, this is going to be the only World Cup where I'm going to be able to see every single game. And if you really think about it, it's like, that's insane.
It's crazy.
Even just the idea that you could go in a day, see all of the round of 16, like, oh my, like that's insanity to even think about it that way. And so when I'm looking at the schedule here, the thought might be, oh, do I just do it all at once? And I'm trying to be mindful that, life could be present, right? Or will be present, right? Exactly. I might have a job by that point. So is it feasible that I take the whole month off? Probably not. I probably will not, unless I pick a leave of absence, which then would mean I need to have some extra cash in the bank for the mortgage, right?
Right.
So instead, do I travel the weekends, right? And then ask for like 1 week of PTO. So again, because I'm in DC, I might ask for that week of PTO for the West Coast games, right? Go visit family in Seattle, then hit Vancouver, then go down to San Francisco, LA, and maybe that's where I squeeze in one of the 3 Mexico cities, right? So, más que go to Guadalajara.
Yeah.
And then another weekend, it'll be ATL Miami, Monterrey, Ciudad de Mexico. And then the other weekend, do that. So I'm also trying to be cognizant of the calendar itself, right? Let me see here. Like, for example, July 4th is on a Saturday, so that means the Friday will be a day off. So then I'm going to try to line up and see, and pretty much do that. Yeah. So it's really, the thing is that a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to plan my travel because I don't know what my team is. Like, okay, but do you even know what days, what days you think you're going to be able to be free? Like, have you thought of that? Have you thought about, por ejemplo, the stadiums do you want to go to? Yep. Do you want to go to a city you've never been to before, right?
State, like you mentioned in your TikTok today about Texas.
Yeah, or types of situations like in Texas right now with the immigration law that they passed. Is that something you're comfortable with trying to deal with or not? I'll probably still go there. I'll mess with the police and be like, yeah, you ain't searching me, that's for sure. y'all ain't getting the passport in your hands. Get out of here with that. Pero por ejemplo, with Mexico, right? Because it's going to be a popular destination. Pero I'm looking at the calendar here. You're going to need at least 4 nights of hotel, if not 5, between the cities. Okay? So if your plan is Mexico, okay, keep that in mind. But if your plan is maximize the number of games you can go to every day, then Mexico's not your option. It might be the Northeast, Philly, New York, Boston, because you can go up, down the Amtrak.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. Every other day or every day, there's going to be a game for you to go up, down the train.
Yeah.
So those are the things that you got to start thinking about. Again, people don't know where their team is going to be, but start thinking about it. And then that means, I need at least $300, $400.
Yeah.
For travel, right? Per each game that I want to go to.
Exactly.
Not counting the tickets, right? Not counting
tough.
the tickets.
And like you mentioned, the 4th of July one, I think that one's gonna be super expensive flying because like the whole country's gonna be, even the ones that don't care about football.
Right. So like right now, I'm trying to find the tickets to go to Brazil, Colombia at Levi's for Copa America.
Right. Yep, I'm gonna be there too.
And dale. Well, hopefully I find the plane right over there. Shoot, that's what I gotta look for. So the fact that I'm already having this experience of July 4th weekend travel, well, then that means people can already anticipate, that's going to be bad. And guess what? It's going to be even more bad because that's the 250th anniversary of the United States. So it's going to be even a bigger bonanza.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. The U.S. might play the 4th of July game in Philadelphia.
Yeah, in Philly. That's oof.
So imagínate, so like you're gonna have, that would be the ticket, the marquee matchup of the day. Whatever the hell USA playing, don't matter. It's the fact that you're gonna have this just. Sam, we're all Uncle Sam, right? That day we're all Uncle Sam. So it's like, but you're gonna see that because it's gonna be such a vibe.
Right. Yeah, right? Man, that's insane. Like, what do you have like a plane miles or currency that you're saving up for the most, or like which one do you think you're gonna use? Like,
so that's a very good question because like whatever plan I have is not gonna work for everybody, for no one else, right? Because everyone's in a different position, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is purely prediction, but based on what I've seen and based on my experience in Qatar,
right?
Airline miles will probably not be helpful because the airlines will most likely either super increase the price using miles, okay, which again, miles are a form of money. They're a form of currency.
Yep.
So don't just think that, they're just free. They don't worth anything. No, they're worth money.
Yeah.
But they're probably going to
straight up.
You can buy a startup, which, there's pros and cons to that too.
You should do that.
Right. Like there's pros and cons. Like the only reason why you would do that is like if you only need like 2,000 miles. Okay, cool.
Right.
You get that and you're good to go. Right. But apart from that, I think my prediction would be that airlines are going to make it more difficult to use your airline miles. For the hotels, they're not going to be able to black out every single hotel in LA. Like say Marriott. They'll block out probably the ones closest to SoFi.
Yeah.
And or like the Ritz-Carltons, the JW Marriotts, right? The fancy ones that the FIFA officials are going to be at.
Yep.
They'll black out those for you to use your points, right? They're going to want $1,000 cold hard cash at the front desk. But they ain't going to be able to block out every single Fairfield or, if you're into Hilton, the what is this, the Hampton Inns.
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to block out all those outside the city, right? So hotel points is probably what I'm going to be focusing on more. I'm obviously picking up Amtrak points because then I can take my rides up here to the Northeast. But everything else is going to be cash. Everything else is going to be stacking up as many, as much cash as possible. And then finally, again, based on my credit card strategy, I like my Capital One Venture X because that one I can pick up a ton of miles and then just erase whatever travel purchase I have.
Right.
It's, theoretic. It's like the easiest use of your miles. Yep. So if I have 100,000 miles, I have $1,000 worth of travel that I can just clean off my bill. So easy, right? In that respect. Now, again, as a disclaimer, just because I state these credit cards does not mean that it works for everyone. Everyone needs to do their homework, which is kind of the big part of it all. Exactly.
And Capital One, like I said, it has the floor of that two-time reward points on everything. So that's a good one to get all that stuff.
It's an easy one for people to understand, right?
Yeah.
You know, like for example, you know, like then, you know, to run down a couple of the credit cards, I do have the Amtrak Rewards credit card, which is only for Amtrak's.
Right.
I have my wife has the Marriott one, which is only for Marriott.
Right.
We have the American Express Gold, which we mainly use for our groceries and dining out, right?
Comer.
Which, yeah, exactly, para comer, right? And so, like, I can transfer those points to airlines, right? The ones from American Express. But again, that might be more situational, right? Yeah. Or it might be, again, in this 2-year plan, I use those miles for any vacations before the World Cup to save money.
Exactly.
That then I'm going to use for either tickets or other travel in 26.
Yeah.
So it's not just that you're super focused on 26 that you forget everything else in life.
Yeah.
You're probably going to take a vacation from now on until 26. Exactly. That's fine. Yep. But how about you know, there's 2 ways to look at it. You either use your miles to cover those expenses and then save as much cash as possible, or you save up your points for the World Cup and you're just not really taking trips. Like, either strategy is fine.
Yeah.
It just depends on everyone's
now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of like the just save up as much cash, because who knows what the point system will be for that month. Like, no one knows. Like,
no one knows. That's why I said it's a prediction. That's why I'm not trying to be like Nostradamus, Danmus, and, you know, Travel Football Fan is, or anything like that.
Clip this so we can go back to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Then y'all gonna come at me like, you told me to collect the miles. It's like, yeah, I did. But I'm also putting a disclaimer. I don't know how these airlines going to act, right? Again, the hotels, more than likely, you're going to be able to use your points. Is it going to be more expensive? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Like, duh. Like, they're going to want to charge money. That's why it's going to, like, let's think about it for a second. We live in the most capitalist of all places, probably except for China. They're going to want to charge us money for this travel.
Arm and a leg.
Man.
Yeah, like the way people think of scalpers when they buy tickets and they resell them, that's how the hotels be thinking too.
The real scalpers are going to be the companies.
Yeah. The real scalpers are going to be. See, that's part of the reason I like Hyatt, because they're not as dynamic as these other places. Mm-hmm. They kind of just keep their floor. Like I'm staying.
And that's fair, right? That's why everyone needs to do their research on the hotels. Like, do they prefer? You know, you might prefer Hyatt. Cool. That means you probably might have a Chase credit card that helps you get points.
Yeah.
Right, which then you can use to Hyatt, and that's kind of like a cheat code. That's the cheat code. That's the travel hack, I should say, for that. Right, that's the Chase Hyatt synergy going on right there. I have the Capital One synergy, which is basically, well, I can transfer the points, but if not, I'll just
pay off my
just clean the bill. Yep. Just clean the statement. That's it. I'm good.
Don't gotta think about it. Don't gotta
think about it. Right, yep. And for a lot of people, you know, and tú sabes, you know, in our community that, you know, might not have the best reliable information on credit cards and how to use them. Yeah. Simplicity might win the day.
No, I totally feel that. I mean, especially, you're Latino, so I'm sure you kind of understand this. There's so many rumors. I mean, part of my family still thinks it's good to carry a balance because it helps your credit card and some. That's like, man, I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. But like, you know, they hear it from one person, they hear it from another, and they take it as
the law. They just take it. Yeah. And so, so like, come on, commandments of the credit cards. You always pay your bill at the end of the month
all the time.
Full.
Exactly.
Porque then all of those travel points you're collecting, all that cash back you're collecting is worthless if you let a balance stand. Exactly. That 29% interest
will kill you.
Coño, te mata de una vez, por eso la gente no sale de la deuda. It's as simple as that. Credit cards are not bad for you. It's just a tool.
It's a
tool. And just like with any tool, you got to know how to use it.
Exactly. I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah, I think the World Cup, it's good to plan out, but like you said, it like you've been saying, it's gonna come faster than you think, but it's also hard to predict at this moment because it is still like 2 years to be able to. Yeah,
I think it's 813 days to go, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
at least on the time of this recording.
Yeah. I mean, I could feel the excitement though. Like I'm people, especially now that the Copa America is getting close, people are starting to like do more comparisons. Like, oh, this is kind of how it's gonna feel like, but like on a way larger scale. But correct. Speaking of Copa America, I'm treating it as a little teaser for the World Cup. I'm going to 2 games. I'm going to Mexico versus Venezuela at SoFi, and then I'm going to Brazil versus Colombia right here, just down the block at Levi's
Nice.
Which games are you planning on going to?
So just Brazil, Colombia for now. I might go to Miami for the final just to be in the scene.
Yeah.
No sé, como que parte de me is like, man, if these tickets are $1,000, no way, Jose.
Yeah.
That's $1,000 I can use for 3 World Cup games.
Exactly.
Like, I get it. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. As a Miamian,
Yeah.
es un tremendo honor que we got the Copa America final and the 3rd place match. Like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
For World Cup. I was not expecting 3rd place. I thought Miami at best quarterfinals.
Right.
But we beat out LA. Like, I was like, oh.
The East Coast had a great draw, man. The East Coast did really well for the
Atlanta, Miami is like, yo, we party.
Yeah, no, they did really, really good. But I do know that you like the national teams better.
Yeah.
What do you think of Colombia going into the Copa America? I know everyone's gonna enjoy watching them, but like, you think they have a chance against Brazil? How do you think they could do in the tournament?
Mira, let me tell you this stat. Colombia has been undefeated with this coach.
Yeah.
15 months. We are the undefeated team for 15 months, and no one's giving us our flowers.
Right.
And it's not just that we've been beating up all the small teams. We beat Mexico twice, comebacks 3-2. Granted, those were friendlies.
Yeah, no.
I then, las dos veces le hicimos la remontada al resultado.
Yep.
Pero look at the qualifiers. Okay, they've had I would say a weird qualifier because they are in 4th. Yeah. 4th or in 3rd? Yeah, 4th. But they've only won 2-3 games and they tied 4.
Yeah. Right.
So it's weird because they've had some like results. Maybe they should have had the Uruguay game at home. For sure they should have had that one. There's some other results there that maybe you think like, okay, maybe Colombia should have tilted those draws into wins. But we've had the marquee win against Brazil at home, which we've never done.
Yeah.
And that was the Lucho Diaz legacy game.
Yeah, with his dad right there, just barely being released. That was crazy.
Like that, the emotions. Like I was watching that game in New York, and it was like the emotions just poured out because it's like, you know, oh my God, como colombiano, oh my God, otra vez el mismo pinche cuento as always.
Yeah.
And then Lucho tilts it in 5 minutes. Like, yo, that was such a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
And then that 1-0 win at Venezuela every day is looking like a steal, like considering how good Venezuela's playing.
Yeah, right.
Right? So, end of the day, Colombia's coming in, playing these very difficult games, getting results. They're in the top 4, and they've beaten Brazil. Whereas Brazil has not shown you anything. When is the last time you've seen Brazil below 2nd place in the eliminatorias?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Like, you don't think of Brazil falling behind, like, in 3rd.
Yeah.
4th. They're in 6th right now. We were still using the old format. They'd be out right now.
Yeah. It's just crazy because almost everyone's going to make it now.
Right. Almost everyone makes it now. But imagínate eso. For you to say that Brazil's going to squeak in, like, you never say Brazil squeaks in, right? Like, they're almost like...
They leave that to Mexico.
Imagínate. Déjalo para cualquier otro. Para cualquier otro equipo. Pero Brasil?
Yeah.
Sexto? Like, you never hear that. So, I really do think Colombia, has a chance to get to the final. Because Brazil has not shown me anything. And maybe also because we've beaten Brazil that now we have kind of like slayed that dragon.
Exactly.
Granted, it's la mentalidad.
Yeah, a lot of it's mental. You know, once you know you can do it, it's a whole different...
It's a whole other ballgame, right? Granted, that's only been done once. They've beaten or tied us every single other time. Pero ya lo hicimos.
I'll tell you this, too. It's a neutral field, and there's a lot of Colombians over here in the area.
Imagínate. So, también brasileño me imagino, pero, it's going to be even. Ya no es
it's not that Maracaná or something like that. You know, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, not at all. Entonces, I honestly think Colombia has a chance for the final. Entre Uruguay and USA is going to be the other end for the other group.
Yep.
For Mexico, my fear for Mexico is that they're going to underestimate Venezuela and or Ecuador, and they're going to get sucker punched. They're like, oh no, we could take all. It's like they're gonna get sucker punched by Venezuela if they're not careful.
Yep. Not
Like Venezuela has been playing like siendo suramericano, and I'm like, who the hell taught these dudes how to play soccer? Like all they play is baseball. No, they've been building their program very damn well.
And that's part of the. I mean, now with the new World Cup format, it's not as like unforgiving, the Conmebol qualifications, but before it was like, bro, there's only so many spots, and you got Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Peru when they get hot, Ecuador. Like it's so hard for like Venezuela or like, you know, some Ecuador or like those small Bolivia.
Bolivia,
to
Chile.
get in there.
Like,
Like,
now you just counted all 10.
To get in there, like, 10. And there was only like what 4.5 spots or 5 spots.
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah. So it was. People always say like, yeah, UEFA has the deepest pool, but Conmebol is always like the hardest one because it's like you're basically fighting for 2.5 spots. Brazil,
because Brazil, Argentina got 2 of them. They got 2 of them, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
For my American friends that I introduced them to soccer, I consider Conmebol the SEC, like college football.
Yeah.
Which is basically Alabama, Georgia.
Right.
Now
That's
Texas,
a good comparison.
Florida, like.
I'm gonna steal that from you.
They are big. No, please do, because I think that's the best comparison. Like, holy crap! Like, you have just every team is almost good except, unfortunately, for Bolivia.
Yeah.
Because every other team could pull off results, and now Venezuela is pulling off results, like, which is obviously to the detriment of Chile, Peru, y Bolivia, and even Paraguay right now. Like, Paraguay, I think, is in 7th place for the repechaje. So. Yeah, like now it's more forgivable, but now Venezuela is like, the quality so far very good. They just got to keep it going.
As a Mexican, that's always been privileged for being in the CONCACAF qualifier. I've always been one of those that, because you know how they always talk about CONCACAF and Conmebol joining forces and just being one big one. I'm always like, that'd be cool. It'd be good for TV. But it's gonna be rough for Mexico if we go join.
I think one or the other makes it. One or the other makes it. It ain't both of us. It ain't both the U.S. and Mexico anymore. Exactly. It's one or the other.
Yeah. So,
and if you put it in that table format,
I do see where you're coming with Colombia though. Like I have seen them play, and they're like, from missing the World Cup to like what they're doing now, I see like a lot of improvement, and I think Diaz could lead them kind of like Alexis Sanchez led Chile to those championships. Like they were just a solid team, like from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Not too many stars, but they had their talisman, which was Alexis Sanchez, he was already good at club. And then when he put on that Chile jersey,
it's like Super Saiyan.
Yeah. And I'm kind of getting like similar vibes from Diaz. Like when he puts on that Colombia jersey, he's already amazing for Liverpool, but He'd be balling out for Colombia.
Yo, and shout outs to James Rodriguez for somehow being able to kind of recover some form. Like, I got to give him some flowers, too, because he was kind of out for the team. But he's kind of recovered a bit. He ain't playing too much in club. But remember, he also was kind of like unknown in 2014.
Right.
So, I don't know. James has had a very interesting career. But I'll say this, to kind of maybe give Mexico some flowers. Again, if Mexico focuses... They'll face Argentina semifinal if they focus. If they don't, they're gonna get knocked off by Venezuela, and then everyone's gonna be crying. That's what I'm saying. Like Mexico could either be real super damn focused and go back to how they used to be back in the 2000s when I would see them as a kid with Cuauhtemoc and friggin' Marquez and Guardado like in their primes.
Yeah.
Or they can be like how they've been playing right now, which is very inconsistent.
Yeah, where we're like struggling against Saudi Arabia.
This Mexico team does not scare me. The ones before would scare the crap out of me.
Bro, I saw Mexico versus Qatar at Levi's not too long ago, and it was like, bro, what are we doing for the?
That was a weird game. That was a weird game. Yes. And I say this with love to my Mexicanos. Like, my wife is Mexican. I ain't trying to have fights in the house, but I'm also trying to be real. I was like, y'all, y'all know how to play better than this. But put this as a comparison. Let's put a comparison here. One final one for Copa America. Venezuela, I think, has more players playing in the La Liga than Mexico, if I'm not mistaken.
We don't really have any, to be honest. Guardado came back. Lainez came back.
Imagínate eso. Where is that? Like, I'm not necessarily fully on the belief that you have to play in Europe to have a really great team, but your best player should be trying to be better.
Yeah.
I know Donovan for the U.S. historically was like the main exception, but
Yeah.
you had everybody else kind of going over there, right? You had Dempsey going over there. You had Howard over there. You had your other great players
And
going
now
abroad.
their whole team is like in Europe, like the whole team.
The U.S., yeah.
Yeah.
And they're gonna.
Mexico took a step back. We used to have a lot of people like in the
Yo no entiendo eso.
And then now it's just like I don't know.
Yo no entiendo eso. Como que they don't want to live over there in Europe. Porque como que ya, se le perdió un poco la garra. I don't know what it is, man. But like,
man, that
something's up with the program.
Yeah, that pisses me off because, man, Mexico City, just the population of Mexico City is like bigger than some of these countries in the world, like Croatia or something. And Mexico is like a soccer nation, so like for them to not be good or like just produce an exuberant amount of talent is just like we're doing a lot of things wrong for that to happen. Like, if you were to just come up with the country like right now and you say, all right, their main sport is soccer, the whole country loves it, it's their main passion, the league does a lot of money, everybody watches it, and they have like, one of the highest population in the world, you would be like, all right, they're going to be one of the powerhouses. And for some reason, they're like one of they're not even.
No se entiende. No se entiende. So
it's crazy.
Mexico better not finish second, or else they're facing Argentina in the quarterfinal, and they're done.
Yeah, hey, we're cooked. And then Argentina has been known to knock us out in World Cups and Confederaciones.
Unless y'all somehow beat the boogeyman that one day, like, I don't know, man. But right now it ain't looking hot. That's why y'all gotta finish first in the group and get to the semi and hope at that point.
Yeah. I mean, if we get to semis, I'll be ecstatic, to be honest. Like, I'm looking at the Nations League games that are coming up, and I'm like, bro, hopefully we win those to build a little momentum going into the Copa America.
Si no le ganan a Panamá, como que, óyeme.
Yeah,
like, in Panamá might have something to say against Uruguay and USA. Be like, hey, you ain't gonna cook us like that either. Like, we might lose, but you ain't cooking us.
Yup. I feel it. So I saw that you were talking about how much pride it brings you to go watch the Colombia game. I think it was when you went to see the ladies, the women's team.
Yes. Yeah.
How's your learning going? Like, did you learn the himno nacional?
No, not yet todavía, man. Not yet. I've been having to focus on some other things, pero sí, es una cosa there that, in Miami especially, you have this feeling of ni de aquí ni de allá, which I'm sure everyone has had that version in where they've grown up.
Yeah.
But Miami being this weird place where we're just like we're like the capital of Latin America,
right?
Allegedly. But then we're also in the U.S. and we use the dollar and our signs are in English, but no one speaks English because everyone speaks Spanish. It's the weirdest place to grow up in. And then, of course, with that, you grow up with this complex of like, well, I was born here in the States. I'm American in that respect. Right. But basically, every single aspect of my life is Colombian. And yet, when I go to Colombia, soy gringo. If I went to UVA when I went to school here in Virginia, you ain't from around here, ain't you? Like, exactly. No. Of course, I'm not from here, right? Like in that respect. So, cheering for the Colombian national team, like my first soccer memory was watching on tape delay Colombia trash Argentina 5-0. That famous historic win in Buenos Aires. That was my first soccer memory.
Yeah. And
so I was like, that's my team. That is like the one good thing we have to show as Colombians, right?
Yep.
And of course, then when we won Copa America against Mexico in 2001, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That was a big deal because we finally got a trophy, but that was kind of that transition period where we really were not good for like 12 years.
Right. Yeah, it was some dark times.
And then when we make it to Brazil and have that tournament run, it was like we finally have something cool. Like Colombians are cool.
Yeah, and put this on the map again. Yeah,
put us on the map again. Yeah, put us on the map again. You had Cuadrado, you had James, you had Ospina, Yeremina. Like you had those quality players going to all these things, but more importantly, it was about representation. It was about, we know, we get it. Pablo, drugs, yes, but soccer, right? Like
Yeah.
soccer, love us for that. Love us Colombians for that, for soccer.
La
And so
cultura.
then, yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then Encanto, right? Like then, it's like the two
Yeah.
things, right? It's like soccer and Encanto, right? Love us for those two things.
Those
Cool.
two things. Appreciate us.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, to me, the international soccer calls my attention so much more. And even when I was playing I think it was the 2006 FIFA World Cup game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember it, but it was specific to the World Cup. You could pick any
Yes.
country to do the qualifiers through.
I remember that.
They had a section of the video game called like the World Cup scenarios. And
Oh
which
yeah,
you could
like you're
play,
down 2-1 and then stuff like that. Yeah. I remember that.
So like you play these stories and you read up on some of these stories, and like I think there was one where like El Salvador was down 2-1, but they had to win 4-1, and you have to make the comeback in 25 minutes. And like you're enthralled, like you're like enthralled by these stories. You're like, oh my god, this is like insane. Like you're kind of becoming that country's narrative in that respect. The other like kind of like thing that maybe brings home this idea of me loving national soccer more than like club. And I understand why people would love club soccer. I ain't no dissing club soccer. Like I know people maybe are from that town and they love that team they grew up with at the entire life. Right, cool. They have a certain affinity to it because of a player, because of something cool, right? Not dissing that at all. But like, for example, when Egypt almost made the 2010 World Cup because of that of those riots that happened in Port Said. And Bob Bradley was the coach.
Oh,
and I was really hoping Bob Bradley would take Egypt to the World Cup there.
That was crazy.
Missed it by like a point or something, or missed it by penalties.
Yeah.
When Scotland was playing like the final game for Russia 2018, they had the dude playing the bagpipes on top of the stadium, playing the national anthem. Like, bro, where do you see that in a club game? Like the whole stadium singing their national anthem, but the dude on top of the stadium? Yeah. Come on now.
Yeah, it's different. It's a whole different monster.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah,
it's a different vibe. And then when I was there in Qatar, when Saudi beats Argentina,
oof,
bro, just the smiles that you see on the Saudis and that live in Dubai.
Yeah,
like
that was their World Cup.
That was their World Cup. That was their World Cup title. They beat Argentina. They probably should have done better.
Yeah,
they probably should have won another game. But you see the kind of like an Arab pride, right? Because it was, and not only them, but then Morocco afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. But there was a sense of pride.
Yep.
And it's like you don't like you get that on club level, but it's more micro. This is continental.
Yeah, you
get that pride. So I think that's what attracts me more to international soccer. And even the Argentina win was kind of like a not necessarily Sudamerica win, because I know Brazil is kind of like these are our rivals, right? Whatever. But it was still kind of dope that South America won the title.
Right.
Especially what Mbappe has said, right? Like, oh yeah, South America ain't.
Oh yeah, he was basically saying like it's going to come down to the Europeans and stuff like that.
Yeah. So when Mbappe said that, it's kind of like the South Americans were like, nah, Argentina, go win it. You gotta go win that.
Go represent.
You gotta go win that. Yeah, you gotta go represent South America.
Yep. I feel that.
Yeah, man.
No, I feel that. And just to add to your club versus like national team, I feel like the community that you feel in the national team, as good as club soccer is, there's a lot of division. Like they were saying that like a lot of the English teams, they would bring their division from their club, like Liverpool and like United, when they would go to the national team, that because like those rivalries were so like heated that sometimes it was hard to like separate the two from like from like club and so like you see like just to make a Mexico reference, like Chivas versus America, they hate each other. But when it comes to the national team, everyone's like, it's a national team. Like
you leave that over there.
It's all behind. We're all just focused on supporting Mexico. We're all just Nacional or whatever. From Colombia, it's all Colombia,
Oh, Colombia.
America de Cali, it doesn't matter.
Don't matter. You know what? To even bring that point even further home, like literal war, Drogba. Remember Drogba and the Civil War that were having there in the Ivory Coast?
Yeah.
Bro, come on now. Like, his team was basically saying, yo, stop fighting. We want to represent Ivory Coast. And they stopped the fighting.
Yeah.
That's what a national team can do.
Yep.
right? When everyone gets scared. I think that, and and again, not to be biased for Sudamerica, but Venezuela, in a weird way, because I know the politics kind of complicates this, and who knows what's going to happen with Maduro and all that stuff. Pero Venezuela is building a hell of a story right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are building a hell of a story.
And it just makes you feel better, like on your day to day.
Yeah.
You see your national team do good, you're like, let me wake up a little 5 minutes earlier today, get a little morning stretch in.
Yeah. It makes you feel better about the team. Absolutely. And I think all those stories are going to be fascinating for 2026. I know politics, people say like, oh, don't mix the politics. Whereas like, dude, it's impossible to not do that.
They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. I know that there's going to be ups and downs of support. I'm sure like with the U.S., if Trump is president, some of us might not feel as, USA, like that. Yeah. At least on the men's side, because let's not forget the ladies. I mean, the ladies at least, they might represent your side of the of your quote unquote politics. But I guess it's also just trying to, like, what does the soccer team mean to you? And so, like, even like, for example, during the tough Colombian times, it would actually bring a sense of like, oh, damn, like they lost again, like really, like we suck, right? But like when they're playing good, it does bring you that pride that you really want from your team.
I feel that. And like you said, the you're not from here, and then when you go to Colombia, you're like a pocho type deal.
Yeah.
Living in San Diego, I would cross the border.
Pocho, that's right. That pocho. Yeah. I remember that from what's his name? Alcaraz, right? Yeah, Lalo, right?
Yeah. So I would live in San Diego, and I would cross the border to Tijuana, and everyone could just know, even if you don't come with like even if you walk there and you don't take a car with a California plate, you just walk in, everyone knows that you're not from there, and they'll let you know. Like they'll charge you more, they'll treat you different. You know what I'm saying? So you undoubtedly know that they're looking at you different, and you're like, damn, I wish I could. I mean, obviously they have their own problems too, so maybe I wouldn't say like I wish I was here, but I wish I wish I was welcome more like a familia, And then and then when I'm here, it's like tengo el nopal en la frente. Like everyone lets me know like, okay, you're fucking Mexican, you're not American, like you said.
Yeah.
So it is like you said, one place they know you're not from there, and then the other one's like, oh, where are you from?
Yeah, exactly. And so going to San Diego to cheer the ladies team, to go watch Linda Caicedo, which is one of the best young women players in the world. I mean,
yeah,
she's her. Like,
yeah, no,
dang, nah, man, like, listen, like she's only 19 and she's pulling off like these moves. Like she is dragging 3-4 defenders, like it's nothing. Like
silky too.
Yo, like that's what I'm saying though. Like it was just like almost effortlessly. Like they would always try to foul her to prevent her from like destroying their defense against Brazil. No, it was great to see her in person. I wish they would have done a better job with the promotion of those games.
Yep.
Because you saw it with the Mexican ladies. There was more support for the Mexican ladies, and then the final was over 30,000 people, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like the support is there, and then you look at the NWSL, the support is there too.
Yep.
And I do think that it's important for us as men, whether in our 30s, 20s, whatever age we are, to support women's soccer, to support women in general in that respect, because it is part of part of our cultura. Unfortunately, as Latinos, that we do have this machista culture in us, and like if put it this way, if we don't support women in this way, then how are you going to show up in your own personal life? You're gonna go grow as a man and grow as an individual in life. How you treating your female coworkers, how you gonna treat potentially your future spouse, like if like how you gonna treat people respectfully if you can't do this. And I get it. And, at the end of the day, maybe you don't like women's soccer.
Oh, I
Fine.
do. AFC.
No, right there. But what I'm saying is like maybe other people they say, okay, I generally don't like women's soccer, right?
Right.
But don't go out of your way to then trash the sport.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like give it a chance, and you're gonna be surprised by the talent that's there.
Plus,
hands down,
if you need any external or any different way to think about it, female women's sports, they're such in like a young part of their like process. Like it's unfair to compare them to men's soccer because like like the U.S. Women's League, the Mexican Women's League, like like the Women's Champions League, all of that is super brand new. So like
Yeah.
you could just say that you're part of something bigger. You know, you're here at the beginning. You could help it get to where it needs to get.
And 2027 would be that. If USA and Mexico get to host the Women's World Cup in 2027, that is part of that next step evolution, at least for our side here of the world, which would be super important because then you see what Liga MX Femenil is doing. And I catch the highlights and I'm like, there's some crazy bangers over there in Liga MX Femenil. Like, dang.
I'll tell you this. One of the things that I think is showing that women's sports is growing, the national team is ranked number 4. They've never been ranked anywhere lower than 2, which means the other countries are getting better. It's
for
not
the
necessarily
US,
that the US. I mean, the US is taking a little bit of a step back, but it's also that the other teams are getting considerably better, which is good. Like it's good to see talent coming up like everywhere.
Yep, and if you look at some of the comparison numbers, and again, like you said, this is young. But if you look at 2023 for Australia and New Zealand, they made, I think, like $1 billion in revenue, I think was the number. For if the U.S.-Mexico one was to be hosted here in 27, they promised FIFA it would be at least $5 billion in revenue. Revenue! So this idea that people don't watch sports, they don't. No, they're already saying $5 billion projected in revenue.
Yeah.
So, like, imagínate, so, like, maybe, and that's the minimum estimate. Like, that could be even higher if, again, FIFA gave it support. If we gave it support as a society, and specifically us as men gave it support, geez, like, you're going to, I mean, look at the United States, how we are fortunate, right? 2024, we have Copa America. Next year, we have the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yep.
Men's Gold Cup, most likely. 26 World Cup, 27 World Cup. Like, come on, man. Like, let's do that. Let's do men's and women's back to back. Why not? I mean, it's going to hurt our wallet. It's going to hurt our wallet for sure. Like, if we get the women's World Cup, I'm gonna be a little bit stressed because I'm going to be like, all right, I don't know if I can do the 16 cities. And I'm going to have to split that up, right? It might have to be 8 cities for the men's, 8 cities for the women's because I'm not going to be able to do 16 and 16 right off the back-to-back.
To be fair, it probably won't be 16 cities, though. It'll probably be like a little bit smaller.
Yeah, a little bit smaller. Yeah, because there's less teams. That's right. I think it'll be 32 if I'm not mistaken. But
it's still the same point, though.
It's still the same point of the travel and all that stuff. Yeah. Imagínate como que, no, me va a tocar rezarme aquí para... Por milagro, porque no.
I'm not going to be able to sleep right now just thinking about it. Like, man, how am I going to make this work? And no
then
more
the
coffees.
LA Olympics. And then LA Olympics 2028.
Ni se diga. No, hey, the U.S. has been killing it with all the stuff that they're getting for sports.
Yeah.
Like, not just soccer, like F1 coming to Vegas and, like, all this other stuff. Like,
and guess who's our rival? Arabia Saudita?
Oh, no, they're throwing money.
Mira, the whole Messi thing coming to Miami is I think a culture war between Saudi and America about the future of like what society, sports entertainment, how society will look like. And again, this is what, again, people might be like, crap, this guy's talking politics again. But no, but hear me out for 2 seconds for those of you who are listening. Like, America is obviously trying to be a place where they tell you, you come to America, you can make money for life.
Yeah.
Saudi is, you can make your bank right now. We will give you $300 million up front.
Yep.
America's saying, we'll give you $300 million in your lifetime. We'll make you famous for decades.
Yeah.
And it's just different. It's literally different systems at play. Some players, like, I think, who was it that just left not too long ago? Jordan Henderson. Oh yeah, he left from Saudi.
Ajax, I think he went back to.
Yeah, he went back. Yeah, but basically, he was only there 6 months. He should have scouted it better.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
It's a different lifestyle. Yeah,
just as like America's not for everyone either.
Yep.
Like, we keep thinking like we're the best place. I was like, no, hold up a second. The reason why the Saudi League is still producing millions in dollars and revenue and in fandom and everything is because it is catering to a part of the world that we are not wanting to understand, or we just don't have a good understanding with. I'm not saying like we're cool with everything that is allegedly they've done.
Yeah.
But we're not trying to connect with them. And I would say vice versa too. And so I think that's why coming back to Qatar, going back to Qatar, one of those experiences was being with fans from the Arab world, sharing the games, watching it with them, And then when they noticed, like I was cheering for the U.S., it's like, but you American, and I was like, yeah, I'm Colombian, but you know,
Yeah, but not that kind.
right? I'm not that American. I'm Colombian, you know, like this and that. Like yeah, there's a whole mix, and they're like, oh okay.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, there's a whole different types of like what I think a lot of the world doesn't understand is that the U.S. is so big that each state is almost like its own little country too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you compare it to like the size of England and Scotland and all those countries, like they all fit just like on the west side of the U.S.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think when it comes to this conversation about, I know I talked about this also about how America, quote unquote, doesn't have a soccer culture. It's like, nah, you want America to have a soccer culture like the French, like the English, like Mexico. It's like, no, dude, that's the wrong way to look at it. We have everybody here. Like, there's no way for us to have a quote unquote American cultural soccer when we
Melting
literally
pot.
have everyone here.
Yeah.
So our soccer culture is we watch Champions League and Liga MX, or we watch MLS y la Primera División de Argentina.
Yeah.
Or we watch the Saudi League and whatever else.
Exactly.
That's my point. We're watching 3, 4. We're keeping up with 3, 4, 5 leagues probably at the same damn time.
Yeah.
Are the British doing that? Probably not.
No. Their soccer culture is their local team and their national team. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we got like 2 national teams and like maybe 3.
No, that's. Hey, even the U.S. marks it like that too. They're like, I'm pretty sure, either Telemundo or Univision was like El Equipo de Todos or something like that.
Yeah.
In the World Cup.
Yeah, for the U.S., yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because we'll cheer it for it because we live here. But like, all right, then we got Mexico, then we got then we got Colombia, then we got Ecuador, we got everybody else. It's like we'll cheer for the U.S. We cool with the U.S. So I think that's what it is. That people think that we have to have the same culture as everyone else. Like, no, if anything, our culture is much more. I'm not gonna say better. I'm not gonna go to that point. But we just are different,
In a weird
and people
way,
should just understand that.
In a weird way, soccer fans in the U.S. watch soccer more than any other country.
Yeah, because I'm agree with you there.
Like I still like America is my favorite team. Like that was the first club that I ever loved. So I still catch not every game, but I watch like the big games. And then I'm trying to help the MLS grow too. So like I watch it, I talk about it. The Premier League obviously is the most popular league in the world. So I have the Wolves. I watch that. La Liga, Real Madrid. So like over here is just so easy to like watch. Whereas like in other countries, they just have that passion for their local team.
For their club. Yeah.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Take that.
Imagínate. No digan que we don't like soccer.
Yeah, we love soccer.
We love soccer. I told one of the CBS executives when they went down to the destination Miami to do the Champions League show.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, we were concerned that it would not hit in Miami." I'm like, "Dude, Real Madrid, Barcelona alone would have brought you all the fans here, and which a whole bunch of them did come."
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean it was not going to hit here? What you need to understand about us is that we are following them, and then there's some Peruvians. As I quickly point out, you see that jersey right there, Alianza Lima, Universitario.
Yep.
We follow them too.
Yep.
It ain't just a one love type of thing. It's like we have multiple loyalties.
I'll tell you here's another one. Barcelona, they're in a financial hell right now. In December, they came to play America in Texas.
I remember that.
In Texas because they knew that it was going to be a paycheck. They came to the U.S. to play America because they needed the money, and they were like, "Bro, we'll schedule a match. We know this is guaranteed money." And that stadium was full of Mexicans, full of America fans, full of Barcelona fans. Like, don't say we don't have a soccer coach, man. I'm getting mad.
Yeah, right.
We have a soccer culture. We have a soccer culture.
Pobres, pero pagamos para ver Barcelona in the middle of the season.
Yeah. Hala Madrid, though. No, but for sure. There's a soccer culture. I think the World Cup is going to be an absolute party. I think if you haven't caught on to like football, soccer in the U.S., 94 was a huge step. 2026 is going to be an even bigger step. And the MLS is just growing in popularity too. Apple has it now. Looks like viewership's up too. I think it's a boom. It's already big. It's going to be even bigger by the time the World Cup ends.
The largest attended World Cup, USA 94, still.
Yeah, still. And that was we had no league. We had
no league, nothing. Nada. No había nada.
Bare bones.
Now 2026 is just going to completely shatter that. It's like 94, you did your service.
And then we're the first ones to get the honor of having 48 teams too. So
Imagínate.
It's going to shatter. It's going to shatter records. It's going to be insane. It's going to shatter our wallets. It's going to shatter records.
De todo, hermano. Eso va a ser una cosa tremenda.
Yeah. But, hey, Danny, I appreciate you coming on to the show. Travel Football Fan. Follow him on TikTok while you still can.
Thank you. Yeah, right. No, easy. Tú man on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to... I'm going to have to probably commit to YouTube. I'm going to have to figure out how to do the videos there on YouTube. Pero sígame in all the socials.
All of them.
On all of them, just in case.
You might have to even start, what are those, the little servers? What are they called?
Como un VPN, algo así. Maybe to connect with TikTok in Singapore. Será porque no. Esta gente, bro, they can get together to ban TikTok. They can't get together to solve any other problem. No, they're trying to go after my wallet, bro. No,
that's insane. I mean, just one last bit. When they interviewed the CEO of TikTok, and they were like, "So you have connections to the Chinese?" And like, dude, I'm Singaporean. It's like, bro, is this real life? Like, bro, what's going on?
They don't know where the hell Singapore is because it's so damn tiny. That's probably what it is. Or either that or they're racist. They're probably racist. So
both.
Both.
And they have an agenda. You know, they just have an agenda. It doesn't matter what you're going to say. They just have an agenda.
Absolutely. And so please follow me on the socials. Obviously, then I have a Patreon as well if you want to have, more, I share more like travel hacking articles and like kind of behind the scenes in the sense of like how I do the travel hacking.
Yep.
Another good way to support me there. But yeah, overall, just, on all the socials and on Patreon.
Show the love.
Thank you.
And well, I appreciate you, man. It was a great conversation. Hopefully we can do this again. Hopefully we can link up at Levi's, get a little tailgate going. Hopefully you can find a flight.
Yeah, no, eso sí, primero que todo. I gotta get there somewhere. I might have to go hitchhike my way over there or even do Amtrak 4 days across the country. It might be worth it.
Hey, you can go, you can pass the mountains and stuff. I've seen videos about that. Chicago to SF, I think.
Yeah. I heard it's a nice train ride, so I might do it like that. Porque no, estos flights, and you see how Boeing the planes ain't doing too hot right now. So.
It might be.
Volando desde allá del avión, coming all the way down.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
Dale, mano. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the talk, man.
Peace.
Dale, peace.
When I slide, no sudden moves. On my goons are stretching. And I'm taxing for the fee. On my